So here we are. We agreed that this would be a no-holds-barred, no conditions, totally open field interview. For now, let's just start with simple yes or no questions. Yes or no, did you ever utilize risky monetary stimulants to artificially boost your central banking performance?
Yes.
Was one of those financial steroids, MBS, or mortgage-backed securities?
Yes.
Yes or no? Artificially low interest rates?
Yes.
For an unnaturally long time with a commitment to continue them indefinitely? Despite warnings that you might be creating another bubble?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Yes or no, money printing, perhaps better known by its street slang, QE?
Yes.
And after these injections started losing potency, you increased their dosage and frequency?
Yes. Probably my worst addiction.
Did you ever try injecting pure, undiluted QE into big Wall Street banks that would have failed had they tried surviving without your drugs?
Yes.
Why are you laughing?
Not laughing. I just still can't get over that people still think propping up massive money-losing banking operations with fake money is somehow smart economic policy.
Did you use quantitative easing to monetize government debt, enabling the government to run huge deficits that never would have been possible otherwise?
Yes.
Wow. Is there any monetary narcotic you haven't tried?
Well,
I'm sorry. What?
I was going to say we haven't tried using literal monopoly money yet.
But
we're actually drawing up plans to do that right now. But the lawyers for Parker Brothers are playing hardball.
Where did you get the money to purchase all these stimulants?
From a computer.
Who put the money into the computer?
No one.
So it's like credits in a video game.
That would not be my preferred metaphor. When we buy a couple of billion worth of bonds from a bank, for instance, we simply credit that bank's account with funds.
Did the funds exist before?
No.
But after you credit them, the bank can spend that money?
Correct.
How is this different from creating money out of thin air?
Because I am chairman of the Federal Reserve, and people respect me. Okay? I could give every American the ability to print official U.S. currency, at will, from their home computers, and I will bet you $16 trillion right now that some retard in the Financial Times or the New York Times will write an excruciatingly thoughtful op-ed about how this is actually a good idea.
In your 7 years of heading the Federal Reserve, would you say it was humanly possible to replicate your performance without financial doping?
Not in my opinion. This generation of central bankers, we all do it. It's not just me. Look at the Japanese, for Christ's sake. I didn't invent the culture, but I haven't tried to stop it.
The culture?
It was all about short-term highs. No one cared about the long-term effects. Everyone loved me: Wall Street, the banks, the president, homeowners, voters, the press, politicians. It was a hell of a party.
What are you doing?
Have I ever told you about the time? This was back in '06, my glory days. There was this raging party at Club Fed. Everyone was there: Paulson, Greenspan, Geithner, Bush, Arianna Huffington, Maria Bartiromo, the San Francisco 49ers, everyone.
No, you haven't.
I literally flew in there high as a kite. I mean literally, I flew into the party in a custom Bernanke helicopter, raining Benjamins on everyone. Ironically, the helicopter was made out of actual $100 bills. I had the boys at the Pentagon build it for me after I helped them with a few spending projects. Anyway, the place went absolutely bananas. Around 4 a.m., I even saw Geithner in the men's bathroom doing lines of Stimulus with Larry Summers. Good in times, man.
From everything you've told me, I'm guessing you aren't the first Fed chairman to juice the economy with low interest rates, correct?
Correct. My predecessor, Alan Greenspan, turned me onto it. Got me hooked. I learned it from him.
Did he also use artificially low interest rates to juice the economy? To inflate the dot-com bubble, and later, the housing bubble?
He was smacking the whole time.
So the financial crisis of 2008, and the Great Recession that ensued, was a direct result of monetary stimulus?
Of course.
So, when you, as Fed chairman, took credit for putting out America's economic fire, you also did not admit that the Fed started the fire in the first place.
Technically, That is true.
For years you've not only denied jizzing the economy, you've claimed you were being responsible, smart, even prudent. So why now admit it?
Because adulation is my lifeblood. The puff pieces, magazine covers, the groupies, the drugs, the trashed hotel rooms and all-night benders. I was addicted to the lifestyle. I was the late-night interview at Davos that all the hotties at Fox Business had to get. The women love the power. Big Ben, make it rain, baby girl.
Please, continue.
Well, it was all one big lie. I don't deserve any of it. The truth is that I have been mainlining monetary heroin for years. And it's not just money that I've tried. I've been creative. Meth, Red Bull, 4-hour energy, 5-hour energy, even Monster Energy laced with cat urine directly into the economy's central nervous system for 7 straight years. For some reason, I also tried injecting Puerto Rico's entire coffee exports directly into the U.S. economy's tucas.
Weird. Why?
Just bored, really. Wanted to try something new. The truth is, I don't know how any of this will play out over the long term. In fact, I'm pretty sure none of this is exactly healthy.
Do we have an inflation problem in this country?
Depends.
On what?
Whether you consider tripling the money supply to be inflationary.
Does anyone believe that it isn't?
Paul Krugman, and he won a Nobel Prize. By the way, quick shout out, thanks Kruggy, you've been great.
I thought the CPI confirmed there was no inflation.
That is only because my homies at the Labor Department rigged the methodology. It no longer accurately reflects price increases. It now merely acts as a tool. The whole price measurement system is designed to mask our performance-enhancing central banking.
Everyone, except for me, obviously, is complaining about rising prices. Why have you resisted coming clean?
If I admit the problem, then I have to quit juicing. Like cold turkey. Have you ever seen an economy suffering through detox? The Germans call it austerity. Really nasty stuff.
Is that like putting yourself back on a diet after the holidays?
Even worse.
Dear God. Is there anything you want to say to your critics?
Let bygones be bygones? To be honest, I envy my critics. They've accurately predicted exactly what was about to unfold with the economy every step of the way, while I was telling people to chillax and enjoy the good times, right as the housing bubble was about to explode. When people like Ron Paul and Peter Schiff kept getting it right, I kept getting it wrong. It's almost like everything I learned from my Keynesian forebears turned out to be completely wrong. When you face that kind of disappointment, you reach for the first feel-good thing you can find.
Are you facing your demons?
You mean like Mises, Hayek, and Rothbard?
Who are they?
Nobody's. Please, forget I mentioned them.
Do you feel disgraced?
I don't know. Would you feel disgraced if you ultimately collapsed the world's wealthiest economy, destroyed its currency, and eventually crashed the entire global financial system?
Probably.
Then yeah. A bit of a disgrace. Okay, a lot of a disgrace. Okay, unlike Lance Armstrong, who only juiced his own body. I actually screwed over pretty much everyone in the world, and they didn't even get a chance to say no thanks. Take Lance Armstrong, multiply it by. How many of us are there now? 7 billion? And then you'll start to get a sense of how much of a up I am.
So, I'm gathering this economy is not really in recovery.
This economy is completely and utterly fucked.
So, what happens next?
With me? Just disaster. Probably not getting invited to the New York Economic Club's Christmas party this year.
No. With the economy.
Oh, that's an even bigger disaster. I'll keep juicing, just to try and ride this baby out until the end of my term. Hopefully I can get out of Dodge before we OD, but I'm in so deep, why not roll the dice, and go out with a bang? You know what I'm talking about.
Actually, I don't.
I'm thinking, QE squared. It's like QE, only multiplying QE's total potential by that same number.
Is that something you have studied in the past?
Hell no, I just made it up on the spot. That's how I roll.
How does this all end? Have you ever thought of that?
Eventually there will be a crisis. Foreign central banks will wake up to the dangers of importing our inflation, and reject the misguided strategy of vendor financing the world's biggest debtors. They will no longer throw their good money after our bad money. When they stop propping up the dollar, it will collapse. Then a currency and sovereign debt crisis will ensue. Of course, once that happens, the party's over. Any more monetary stimulus will result in an overdose. I'm talking hyperinflation, and the dollar will be worthless. To avoid that horrific outcome, we will have to stop the presses once and for all. We will raise interest rates, sell treasuries, and let the chips fall where they may. Unlike 2008, there will be no bailouts. Banks will fail. Depositors will lose money. The government will have no choice but to restructure its debts. That means default. It also means people expecting checks from the government will get much smaller checks or no checks at all. That includes government pensions and Social Security.
That sounds really bad, actually.
Yes, of course. Why do you think we have been using all of these stimulants to postpone the pain? But while we've been doping, our underlying problems have gotten much worse. As a result, the inevitable collapse will be that much worse, and the correction far more painful than had we kicked the habit earlier.
What do you mean by correction?
The doping has prevented the economy from really getting healthy. We have too much borrowing and too little savings. Too much consumption and not enough production. The government is too large, and the private sector too small. Market forces must allow for land, labor and capital to be used more efficiently and more productively. However, that involves short-term pain. People have to lose the wrong jobs before they can get the right ones.
But wouldn't that pain be constructive?
Yes, of course. For the economy, and for America and for the world. But not for me and the politicians.
What do you suggest we do now?
Save yourselves. Save your families. Buy gold, guns, and food. This shit is about to get real. Sorry. You never should have trusted me with anything more complicated than a Rubik's Cube.
The Peter Schiff Show.